episode of Care Sandwich. I'm Margarita Everline, your host, and I have a really cool personal injury attorney that I'm going to bring up to the digital stage here in a second. But first, check out this video for those of you that are new to Care Sandwich and want to know what this show is all about. Welcome to Care Sandwich, the podcast where we dive into the success journeys of law firm owners across the country. I'm Margarita Everline, your host and the founder of Marketing Boss, a fractional chief marketing officer firm for law firms. On this show, we'll explore the challenges, strategies, and victories that have shaped law firms and how they wrap every interaction with care. Because we believe that caring isn't just a value, it's a strategy for success. So grab your favorite sandwich, sit back, and let's dig into a conversation filled with insight, inspiration, and of course, a lot of care. Welcome back. I want to welcome to my virtual stage personal injury attorney, Logan. Come on, let's go. Share your story with us, Logan.
Hi, Mark, for having me today. So my story originates in San Diego in 2012 when I moved down there to start my own practice after a few years with my brother. I was there for a year, migrated back to Los Angeles, and have built my presence up here while maintaining an office in San Diego and a few other locations. I'm also licensed in Nevada and Montana. So that's my story in a nutshell.
That's awesome. So, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but I'm from SoCal, California girl all the way,
Oh,
and I always
okay.
go back home whenever it's cold here in Georgia. Little aside,
Yeah.
but Logan, why personal injury?
Good question. So I graduated in 2008, and my brother had a practice that was kind of, he had a few different areas of practice, and then the crash happened and it focused his area into personal injury. So that's why I got into personal injury. And I also had the fortune of, in law school, I interned at a bunch of different law firms doing family law, intellectual property, which wasn't definitely not in my
And you
wheelhouse
knew
because
you
I'm
didn't
not an
want to do
engineer.
family law or intellectual property.
Yeah, there was a lot of deselection process. So personal injury really fit my goals in life and how I am as a human. I like to help out the people against big corporate conglomerates. So it's a nice little sweet spot for me personally, and being able to help out in the process and also earn a living.
So let's talk about that, because many law firm owners end up getting, I think, emotionally disconnected from the day-to-day reality of the injured, I think. And it's not a bad thing. It's completely normal, right? Because you have to protect your feelings and, and it can be a lot. So
Sure.
walk us through how you stay connected with the cause of the customer that calls you or the injured person that calls you, while still staying strong and fighting for them. Because you're right, like they're, really big insurance companies, and people don't realize that, even though they're nice on the TV commercials, like they're really not on your side, and they're not a good
Yeah,
neighbor.
billions going to marketing and crafting an image that's not doesn't meet reality. So to
Yeah.
answer your question, it's a practice. I'm not 100% the best at it. For those that do every day, sometimes you do become desensitized. So you have to remind yourself that you're working for people who aren't in their best situation, and there is a real need for us to be compassionate and to be empathetic. And if you're a person who has a hard time always being empathetic, like myself, you have to fill the gaps with people who can help fill that void on your team. So I have a lot of complementary pieces that kind of step into the void when I'm feeling a little bit desensitized to people, and they can step up and be empathetic. So for people that aren't as empathetic as myself, or who are going through like a lull of empathy or compassion, surround yourself with people that aren't necessarily your strengths. That's kind of what I've done in my practice. And then personally, I like to take a step back and then take some time off, and then I usually come back refreshed, rejuvenated with a brand new mindset, and I do become more in tune with people's needs and wants and desires.
I love your response because it is so sincere and it's very applicable, I think, to a lot of attorneys. Because here's what I've learned from working with attorneys is it's 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 a tough job. You literally deal with people's problems every day. And if you don't have, I'm going to say, an emotional wall or an emotional veil, it can get very overwhelming. I still remember one of the first law firms that I ever worked with for marketing purposes. I wanted to sit in on some consultations and I wanted to cry the whole time. And I'm like, I'm so glad I am not an attorney, like in marketing. And meanwhile, the law firm owner, like he just, like, and I was like, oh, like that was when it hit me, pun intended, how understandable it is when you do have to just kind of step away, step back. So, and I love your response because you're right. Like it's a team. Most law firms that I work with that are super successful, multi-million dollar, law firms, they have a leader that sets a vision, and then they have the team that actually implements that vision together in pieces. They take turns, almost like passing the baton in a relay race, throughout the journey of the case. So walk us through some unique ways that you help the injured with your, I'm going to say, your relay system that you created with your team.
I think it's like you said, setting a vision and then making sure you're plugging your vision with complementary pieces that are going to execute on areas that we lack, because you can't wear all the hats when you're starting out on your own unless you're well funded. You do wear all the hats, and you do have to try and fill the void. But making sure that the whole thing operates as smoothly as possible ensures that you're having the team and having the confidence to go out and hire the people. It's always scary to hire people, but once you make that
Yes.
hire, you're like, why didn't I do it in the first place? So part of making sure you're a well-oiled machine is hiring the right people and explaining your vision to them so they know what you're trying to accomplish. They understand where you want to go, where you've been, telling your story, and getting to the clients that you want to retain us, because we want to retain specific set of clients that are deserving and that do need help, and help them accomplish their needs and hopefully overachieve and get great results while getting excellent customers, or while providing excellent customer service along the way. I'm not sure if that answered your question, but that's what
Yeah, no, it absolutely did. And I'll go a little deeper. You described the customer and identifying the ideal customer. I love that you're aware of that box that needs to be checked, because the thing is that if you try to help everybody, you end up helping no one. And it's very important for your team to know who your specific, I'm going to say avatar, that's what we use in marketing, or your ideal client, or even your case qualification, characteristics that you're looking for. When there's clarity about that, I think everything works a lot more smoothly. Like many times, people, the average consumer, is confused about the fact that there are even lawyers that do special things. Like I know so many different consumers, and I see it in the marketing data, where they call lawyers in one practice area for help with another practice area. And so having that team that can help them navigate that without making them feel bad for calling, a personal injury law firm about a divorce case, or, because it happens. It can be confusing. But even dialing in more specifically, I'll share a funny story with you about an attorney that does the like police brutality and those types of cases. I still remember screening some of those like leads, for feedback to the marketing team. And there were people who thought that like having their feelings hurt was considered like, so like, how do you train the attendant? I know this is not your practice area, but it was just so like, wow, but I get it. Like you had your feelings hurt so bad, it traumatized you, but like there were no damages, right? And like the average consumer doesn't understand that. And I love the way that particular law firm was able to help them navigate, right? Like listen, like, yeah, like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that happened to you, but here's the way these cases work. Like, I wish you the best, right? So, what are some things that you do to help your team balance that? Like, you know, I'm going to say turning away, turning down, or redirecting the leads that maybe are not so ideal, and then still honoring the fact that they trusted you in the first place enough to reach out and ask.
Sure. I think the answer is in your example, the
Yeah.
education of what you do during the call, right? So not just saying, "Hey, we don't handle that. Sorry, we can't help you." Click. That's not proper training of the person that is first impression for your office. Because what if that person actually has a friend who was injured or needed a whatever type of niche that injury firm is doing? So I think proper training, proper hiring to make sure you're hiring people who aren't robots that have a
Yes.
little more empathy and patience. Because if I was to answer the phone 24/7, I would be that person that would lose sensitivity really fast. So you have to recognize your strengths and weaknesses,
Yeah.
educate the intake team, and tell them, hey, if this person calls, it's a no, but you want to tell them why and explain why you're declining the call, because there's tons of people that call firms that get denied and they don't know why, and then they keep calling and they get mad and they get disgruntled and then they lose hope, and you don't want someone to lose hope. So education, having the right people answering the phone so the first impression is positive, and then if you're unable to take that lead, having a referral in place for them or a few referrals, or if you don't have a referral network, giving them a local county bar lawyer referral service. Just something to redirect them in a place where they're going to get answers, I think is the best answer to that question. But also, if the attorney has referrals, then they can direct them to a known, like, and trusted referral and possibly also get a referral fee. So there are ways to monetize it while helping out the people that you're not going to hire.
That is very thorough. And I don't know if you realize this, but many law firms don't do all of that. So you definitely have a advantage with this process that you just described. That was worth gold. I find myself sharing that advice with a lot of firms. And I feel like for you, it's like such common sense. And I love that because that's rare. I don't know if you realize that. Like,
Well, I think I've lost out on a few opportunities in my early years. So, you sometimes when you get those checks, you're like, oh, hey, I need to do more of this. So, and then I've had some experiences where people, maybe my process wasn't dialed in early on and they were upset that we declined their case. And they're like, why? And then you're like, oh, with the news, you don't want to leave a bad taste in someone's mouth because they're going to go on to Google, Yelp, now social media, and you don't want to get bad publicity for the way you handle the call. And you can't please everyone, but you want to do the best you can to get a happy client. I've had people leave reviews and we've never even taken their case. So it's a learning process. And for those that have gone through it like me, it was trial by error. And for those that are starting out, implement it and you'll be happy that you don't have to deal with negativity.
yeah. And that's so I do see a lot of law firms with negative reviews that they got from people that never even worked with them. There are ways that you can appeal those, fortunately, but it's better to not have to deal with it. I don't know if you know that, or you might know this, but with Google, there's 3 or 4 different appeal rules that you can take advantage of. If the person reveals sensitive information, you can appeal it based on that. If they're harassing or threatening, like using violent language, you can appeal based on that. If it was left by like a bot or like a false, that's it. And I think there's like one more. I don't have them memorized, but
I think there's another, like, there
sometimes
was
you
a
can get a
competitor.
yes, if they're making a review about somebody that's not you. Yeah, if it's not about you. Um specifically. Yeah. So those are some things that you can do to appeal those. But to your point, it's better to just provide them with a good experience, even if they're not an ideal case for you. And yeah, I once read a book. I think it was Weapons of Mass Destruction, or I don't know, one of those geeky statistics marketing books. But it talked about how the average person has 250 people that either attend their wedding or their funeral. And that is an indicator that that's the potential for referrals for that person, that they at least know 250 people. I feel like for me, it would be a lot less, more like 50, but like supposedly that was the average when that book was written. But anyway, so I could talk to you forever. I love all the amazing insights that you're dropping. And if you're listening and you're a law firm owner, I hope you're taking notes. And if you're listening and you're thinking about launching a law firm, I hope you're taking notes, because these nuggets are gold. Logan, I have one more question for you. And then if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you? And then the last question that I have for you is, what is your favorite sandwich?
Yeah, your team alerted me that the question was coming, and I was like, you should have seen my reaction backstage. So to kick that can down the road for a few seconds, to get a hold of me, at the bottom of the screen is my phone number, 833 Quirk wins, Instagram at Quirk Accident Attorneys, or attorneys. I'm gonna say anything on bread, like an Italian clip, and anything on Dutch crutch bread with a lot of meat and a lot of veggies, spicy mustard, egg salad, and then a PB&J is always, comfort food. So I can't give you a favorite. It's just what's the feeling. But I can
no, you have a favorite for different occasions. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. You have a favorite for all sorts of occasions. That's wonderful. Logan, it has been such a pleasure to interview you. And by the way, what a fun last name. I love the word.
Thank you. I try to live up to that as much as I can. So
that's cool. Yeah, I'm kind of quirky too, so it's all good. You're in good company. Logan, thank you so much for joining me. And for those of you that tuned in, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Care Sandwich. Remember that you can catch this on Spotify later on and all your favorite podcast platforms. We'll see you on the next episode of Care Sandwich. Logan, don't go anywhere. I got to talk to you backstage.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Care Sandwich. Remember, the way we care for our clients, our teams, and ourselves can make all the difference in our success. Until next time.